Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm gonna burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. This is Bettor Off Dead for Saturday, October 11th. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out for the college football show, which was the longest one yet, probably, last night. Went to bed at like 4 a.m., and I'm back up to break down the morning slate here. Well, not the morning slate, but the rest of the board here. So if you want the college football analysis, you can go check that video out. There is still some time. I gave out 4 plays in that video, which I will reiterate at the end of this show, but I will leave the analysis in that video, and I'll put it up on Instagram pretty soon as well. Hopefully this will be a bit of a short video here this time. We have one Major League Baseball game to talk about, which there's not going to be a whole lot to talk about, though, to be honest, because it's really difficult to handicap because the game is tonight, and we don't even know who the pitchers are going to be yet. Although we can kind of speculate, but there's no way that I would put money on it where it stands right now. And then we do have a full hockey board here. All the hockey teams are playing. Jeffrey, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. You fell asleep. I almost fell asleep during it as well. Those late night shows are wild, man. We're going to have another one tonight for the NFL, but the NFL one is easier than the college one. There's just less to talk about. Shorter board there. Anyway, college football, by the way, I'll reiterate them at the end of the show, too, but I have Michigan State -7.5, Missouri +3, Texas +1, although it looks like they're -1 now, but I don't think there's much of a difference between those two numbers, and Auburn +4, so if you want the analysis on those, you can check out the video from last night. Hopefully the analysis is solid. Hopefully we get some more wins there. Trying to narrow down the college football board. Like, I started off the week thinking I liked a whole bunch of games, and I narrowed it down to those that I think are the strongest. Let's talk about the board today. By the way, congratulations to the Las Vegas Aces. They won the WNBA final in a sweep last night. So WNBA is over. I was correct in my bracket special. I had the right champion, at least. So there you go. Sucked for Phoenix that their best player got hurt. I mean, it is what it is. They still think Vegas was the better team, though. Minnesota also lost their best player, and that kind of got them knocked out themselves. But, yeah, I mean, not a whole lot else to say about that. We do have Cubs-Brewers here in baseball. Oh, yeah, this is the breakdown. I forgot. Oh, my God. Game 5 here, man. It's the crucial Game 5, like what we had last night with that crazy Detroit and Seattle game, where Seattle was able to advance in 15 innings last night. This is what, sticking to the Major League Baseball of old, this is what it gets you, man. And I'm saying this is a good thing. You get these crazy games like that game last night, man. This is what people want. It's total drama. Like every inning could be the end. You know what I mean? It's like kind of like sudden death hockey playoffs or hockey overtime, or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's almost must watch, to be honest. That's what you want. So no ghost runner in the playoffs, and it's much better baseball. Eliminate the ghost runner, get rid of it. It's absolute bullshit. So yeah, Seattle was able to win that game. There's a lot of controversy about the call, the hit by pitch that happened, I think, 1 or 2 innings earlier, which wound up not affecting the game, but it was the wrong call. I don't understand how they could have reviewed that and come to the conclusion that whoever it was for Seattle, he went to bunt with, I think, a runner on first with nobody out. I think it was the bottom of the 13th when this happened. It was either the 12th or the 13th, and I think pretty clearly the ball hit the bat first, and then he was bunting. It hit the bat, and then it went off his hand, so he kind of hurt his hand a little bit. I think he was fine, though, but they ruled that he was hit by pitch. But if you look at that replay, I just tweeted it out, too. Pretty clearly, it hit the bat, then it hit his hand, I'm assuming while he was still in the batter's box, so the call should just be a foul ball. That's what it is. If you foul it off of yourself in the batter's box, I think it's the same even if on a bunt. I'm pretty sure it's the same, I believe. It's just when bunting, if you bunt foul with 2 strikes, it's a strikeout. That's like the only difference, but I think it was the first pitch of the at-bat. So it should have been a foul ball, but they gave him first base. But it wound up not mattering because Seattle didn't score in that inning anyway. So people complaining about it, I mean, yeah, you can complain that it was a bad call, but it didn't actually affect the outcome of the game. We do have Cubs-Brewers here, as I was trying to get to. This is National League Divisional Series. Whoever wins this game will advance and face the Dodgers. If the Brewers win, they're going to host the Dodgers. If the Cubs win, they have to go to L.A., and L.A. would host the series. Brewers are up for minus 127 to minus 138 here. So the money has come in on the Brewers. The total down a little bit from 7.5 juice to the over to 7.5. I mean, it's really difficult to handicap this just because we don't know who's going to pitch in this game. Although you can kind of guess that it's going to be maybe the same thing that we had in Game 2, which was also at Milwaukee, which was Imanaga for the Cubs up against basically a Milwaukee bullpen game, although it was kind of like bolstered by Mizurowski was kind of the main guy that Milwaukee wound up using in that game, and I lost a play on that. That was my only loss in the baseball playoffs so far, was on the Cubs in that game because I thought Imanaga was more preferable than the Milwaukee bullpen game, and I thought Milwaukee might use Quintana, but they used Mizurowski, although I still don't know if I totally trust him, but that may be what happens in this game. It might be Imanaga up against essentially Mizurowski and whoever else Milwaukee wants to use here. I mean, the bullpens are probably going to get unloaded here because this is a Game 5. It's anything goes. The bullpens are rested, so basically any and all bullpen arms could come into this game, man. So it's going to be a little bit crazy. Could wind up being similar to last night, too. I mean, it could be a close game. If it is Imanaga, though, I mean, I'm probably going to have a slight lean that way towards the Cubs, but it's going to be nothing that I would want to give out as a play or anything like that this time. It's kind of a wait and see. We got to figure out what the matchup's even going to be, so there's not a whole lot to talk about there. And then we do have NHL. And when does NBA start, by the way? I feel like NBA starts really soon. Tuesday, October 21st, NBA starts, so something to keep in mind there, too. We're going to talk about that soon. It looks like it kicks off or tips off, I guess we should say, with a doubleheader on that day. Rockets, Thunder, and Warriors, Lakers. So that's going to be coming up, too. All right, let's talk about NHL. We have a full NHL slate here. I'm going to give out 3 NHL plays. I mean, that's typical of what I do on an NHL full board like this. I'll talk about like some of the bigger games and maybe the situations that kind of mean something. There is one afternoon game here, Kings and Jets. Not the Sacramento Kings and the New York Jets. L.A. and Winnipeg here. Winnipeg was one of my losses the other day. They almost came back against Dallas, but they did not deserve to win that game. They got outplayed by Dallas. So Winnipeg is staying at home after losing their first game, but they're coming off a big game. So I could kind of see it going both ways. Like, they need a win. They're typically pretty good at home, but they're coming off a big game, even though this is another big game. But 2 big games in a row seems a little bit difficult, and I think LA does have an extra day of rest. I didn't really look at the rest scenario too much because every team was off yesterday, and it's the very beginning of the season pretty much, so you don't really have teams in, like, terrible rest situations yet, and we can kind of gauge what's going on with the starting goalies here, too. LA had a big win over the Kings after they lost to Colorado, so they've already played 2 games, actually. But coming off that big overtime win over the Kings and having to travel up to Winnipeg to me, it still looks like it is a worse spot for LA, so I would have a slight lean to Winnipeg in that one. They're up from -125 to -129, so money kind of agreeing with it. 85% of tickets on Winnipeg, but again, especially on a college football Saturday like this, I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of bettors doing much with hockey. So I think a lot of the tickets that you see here are professional money, because the professionals, they want to win money. So they're going to look at the NHL board, really. They're going to break it down. Just because the public is all over football doesn't mean that you shouldn't be paying attention to the less paid attention to sports, because you'll find some angles if you do. Although I don't like dive into like every single sport that's out there, but I do all of the main ones. But 97% of the cash on Winnipeg here, so it does look like the money is coming in on Winnipeg. That's the way that I would lean in that one. St. Louis at Calgary. Calgary has already played 2 games. They beat Edmonton, which was a big win. And I was on both of these games, actually. My 2 wins in hockey so far. I'm 2-2. So I'm a loser right now in hockey. But these were both wins for me on the Calgary Flames. Big win against Edmonton in the runner-up hangover spot that I talked about there. Big win, but Calgary still not really that good of a team, and they got smacked by Vancouver in the next game. Although they were hanging in that game into the third period, it was 1-0, and then Vancouver just kind of exploded late in the game. Calgary now coming home, so they do have travel here, although this is their home opener, so they might somewhat show up for this. I don't know who Calgary is going to have as their it looks like Wolf is going to be back in net for them, the Wolf. Yes, it looks like it is Wolf tonight, although he's projected right now, unconfirmed. But on this site, starting goalies, it's dailyfaceoff.com. They tend to be correct in their predictions, but not 100%. But more often than not, they're correct about who the goalies are going to be. It should be Wolf because he is their starter, and he didn't play in the last game. How much better is he, though? I don't know. I mean, St. Louis probably is going to have Binnington in net again. He is their best goalie. He's been really good at times, really bad at times. St. Louis is the better team, though. I mean, the odds makers are telling you this. Calgary, even though they have that big win over Edmonton, they're actually not that good. St. Louis not only is a road favorite, but they're actually taking the money. They're up from -106 to -121. 54% of the tickets are on Calgary, but 81% of the cash coming in on St. Louis. St. Louis only has 1 game so far, and they lost 5-0 at home, so people are really going to want nothing to do with St. Louis here. But Minnesota, I mean, I know I talked about how overrated they were last year, but they're not a bad team. And, I mean, 5-0 is just such an outlier, man, that you got to think St. Louis is going to be a little bit angry about it, try to bounce back. St. Louis actually, they kind of won the game statistically. They had more shots than Minnesota. They were the way more physical team. 40-19 in hits. They lost the face-off battle, but statistically, looks like a game that St. Louis maybe should have won. I don't know what happened in that game or how they lost that game, but right now, St. Louis, they're better than they appear to be right now, man. You can't just look at that one result and think that it means much of anything. So I think St. Louis is the right side in this game. That would be the way that I would look in that game if I was going to play it. My Boston Bruins are hosting Buffalo, and I don't like the look of this because Buffalo's not very good, but even though the Bruins are 2-0, they had a big upset win over Washington. They beat Chicago last time up, but Chicago is also one of the lesser teams in hockey. The Bruins down from -123 to -113. Bruins tend to play well in their home openers too, as I pointed out, but now they've already won their home opener, and this is not looking good as far as the market here. Money line dropping on Boston, 85% of tickets on them, only 55% of the cash. So the money is coming in towards Buffalo. I don't really have much of a reason to disagree with that other than the fact that the Bruins, as a bigger favorite in that game against Chicago, had a close call. And really the Bruins, if you watch what happened in that game, they actually did play better than the final score looked in that one. But it is pretty telling that a mediocre to bad team like Buffalo is just a small road underdog here. Like, the odds makers are almost telling you the Bruins aren't even the better team, which is really ridiculous, especially when Swayman's going to be back in net most likely for the Bruins here too. So that makes it even crazier. He was really good in the first game. I think now that his contract is settled and whatever, he didn't miss training camp like he did last year. I think we're going to get a better Swayman this year. So it's kind of, that makes it even more crazy that the Bruins are they're getting like disrespected big time in the market, but the money is actually going against them. Maybe there's something I don't know about Buffalo. Maybe Buffalo is a much improved team. I mean, that remains to be seen. But I don't know, man, because Korpisalo played in the last game for the Bruins, and he did well enough to win the game. But Swayman is the better of the two goalies, and he most likely will be in net there. So strange to I'm not. I don't think it's weird that the money's coming in against the Bruins. I think that the line being that short does seem weird to me. To me, I still think the Bruins are the better team over Buffalo until we see something that tells us otherwise. But I know coming into the season, the Bruins are projected to be the absolute last place team in their division. And I said that I think that was going too far. I don't think the Bruins, talent-wise, are literally the worst team in their entire division. I don't think that's the case. So I don't know. It's a weird one, man. Saab, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. You're on Buffalo. Well, the money agrees with you on that. I haven't talked about the Blue Jackets game yet. I don't really have a good feeling for the Blue Jackets game. The Blue Jackets game is just hard for me to gauge. So hopefully you get those two. Well, hopefully you don't get the Buffalo one just because I want the Bruins to win. But if Buffalo wins, you'll get your money. So you tell the bartender to turn on the NHL. People are going to get mad if you do that at a bar because they want to watch college football, man. Bruins have bigger games next. Yeah, but they're coming off a pretty lackluster game, really, against Chicago. They made a couple of mistakes that led to those two goals, the first two goals that Chicago scored. Sabres are getting shut out, yeah. But the fact that the Bruins played a terrible home opener makes me want to look towards the Bruins. But yeah, the fact that Buffalo got shut out by the Rangers. I told you that I liked the Rangers in that spot. Rangers are not a bad team. So you're right. Buffalo is in a bounce-back spot after a really bad first game. They're a bad performance there. But the Bruins didn't have a good performance in their home opener either. So I kind of think both teams kind of want to show up here. Yeah, the Bruins have Tampa next, but I don't know. I'm not as concerned with look-aheads as I am with what the team just did. So I don't know. Toronto-Detroit is going to be one of my plays, so I'm going to hold off on that. I'm not going to talk about every one of these games, but I'm going to hit a bunch of them, and then hopefully I still have time to do my Instagram videos. Devils and Lightning, New Jersey and Tampa Bay. This is a pretty good matchup. Tampa Bay lost their home opener to Ottawa, and they're staying at home. Ottawa, I think they made the playoffs last year. Ottawa, they're kind of an upstart team here, man, and they have Linus Ullmark, former Bruin goalie there. So Ottawa, they got some good goaltending. They're not a bad team right now. So should Tampa have won their home opener still against Ottawa? Maybe, but it was a close game. It was crazy, 5-4. So Tampa is coming. You could look at this both ways, right? Tampa lost their home opener as a home favorite, I'm pretty sure. So they should want to bounce back from that. But then again, it was a tough game, kind of a grueling game. So I don't know how they're going to respond to that. They still should show up for a game against New Jersey, who's a pretty good team. I think they were a playoff team last year. New Jersey didn't look as good in their first game, but they're playing 2 games on the road, which is a little bit difficult to do. They played Carolina. Carolina's a team that does beat you up, but they lost 6-3 in that game. New Jersey, probably a little bit better than that outcome looks. So Carolina is one of the better teams in hockey still. New Jersey did get outplayed by a bit, but maybe not as bad as a 6-3 final would look. There was an empty net goal, and then another goal came in after, I guess, New Jersey put their goalie back in. Kind of expecting a better performance out of New Jersey in this one. But Tampa's taking the money up from -117 to -147. 77% of tickets, 84% of the cash coming in on Tampa. So the money's saying Tampa. I slightly disagree with that in that game, though. I think New Jersey's kind of in the more of a bounce back spot there. I don't think the travel is really going to be a huge factor yet. They're still staying in the state of Florida. Tampa coming off a more grueling first game, in my opinion, but I could be wrong, obviously. Ottawa, by the way, they're playing at Florida, so Ottawa played at Tampa. So New Jersey and Ottawa are both doing the Florida leg here. They're both playing both Florida teams back to back. Florida 2-0 already. They won their home opener against Chicago, and they actually played better than the final looked. They actually dominated Chicago, even though they only won by 1 goal. But Florida hasn't really beaten anybody yet. They only beat Chicago and Philly, and I don't think Philly is very good at this point either. So this is going to be Florida's toughest opponent yet. Although, I mean, with Ottawa, yeah, I mean, Ottawa's good, but how good are they really? I don't know. But we still know Florida is still good, though. Like I don't think we're really questioning that Florida. I wanted to see, did Florida beat Ottawa in the playoffs last year? They didn't, though. They beat Tampa Bay and then Toronto, because I was wondering if this was like a revenge spot for Ottawa, but it is not. But Ottawa's coming off that crazy game against Tampa. Florida just hasn't looked that great against good opponents so far, so it is possible that Florida is going to show up for this one, man. And the money kind of agrees with that. Florida's down from -145 to -141. 71% of tickets, 79% of the cash on Florida. To me, it looks like you're getting a little bit of a cheap price on Florida. Although we know they're the returning champs or whatever, so you'd think they'd be overvalued by a little bit. But Ottawa coming off that crazy game against Tampa where they were able to pull off the upset, and Florida just kind of having easy-ish opponents so far. I mean, I do think the spot sets up better for Florida. Although, Ottawa's going to show up for that game too. We have Washington at the Islanders. I don't want to hit every one of these games. I know I'm hitting a bunch of them. Washington lost their home opener against Boston. Pretty ugly loss for Washington there. They're going out on the road. Might be helpful for them to just forget about that bad first game, go out on the road. Seems like a decent spot for Washington. But the Islanders, they blew it for us in their game against Pittsburgh. They were a road favorite, and they lost the game. They had chances to win that game, and I guess Druin got suspended for cross-checking. I didn't see that in the Islanders game. So Islanders coming off a loss, too, they should have won. So both these teams probably going to be in a bit of a foul mood here. So I kind of expect both teams to show up in this game. The money is coming in towards the Islanders. Washington down from -125 to -114. It's the road favorite. And last year, I mean, Washington had the best record, I think, in the Eastern Conference, and they weren't quite as good as that record would indicate. Even though they were good, they were they kind of came from out of nowhere. I mean, I think they were like a team that barely made the playoffs the year before that, and they had a really good regular season last year. The reality, I think, is somewhere in the middle, and the Islanders were a team that I believe either almost made the playoffs or just snuck into the playoffs. I can't remember. So the Islanders are not a bad team. They kind of like fly under the radar, and I don't think that suspension is really going to have much of an impact. I mean, in hockey, again, you have so many different lines of players. It doesn't really matter that much. 89% of tickets, 85% of the cash on a very public Washington road favorite there. So the money seems to be saying the Islanders are the side in that game. I'm not going to disagree with it, but I'm not going to have a play on it either, so we'll skip it. Montreal at Chicago. I mean, I know I'm talking about almost every one of these games, even though I don't particularly want to, but I'm going to skip a few of them. Montreal, after losing to Toronto, which is a game I'm going to talk about when I talk about Toronto-Detroit, I'm going to talk about what happened in that game because it was a little bit misleading, I think. Montreal was better than they looked in that 5-2 loss. They came back and they won and spoiled Detroit's home opener in a game that I thought was going to be a better setup for Detroit. Montreal beat them 5-1. Now they're facing a third straight road game, though, so it's kind of a difficult spot for Montreal. I don't know who they have next. I probably should have looked. I don't know what that Disney shit was. What was that? They play Seattle next. I don't know. Not really a look-ahead spot for Montreal there. Chicago coming off playing two games where they lost by one goal in each game at Florida and at Boston. So maybe Chicago getting a little bit tired after that because they had two pretty big games against decent. Well, I don't know if the Bruins are a decent opponent, but I think you usually get up when you're playing in Boston to face the Bruins. Florida played decently in those games, even though I know, like I said, Florida actually did dominate them statistically, but they were still in that game late in the game. Now they're returning home. Which I talk about the return home spot sometimes being a bad spot because you have to get back to family life and whatever, but it's only after two games, and this is their home opener, so I don't think they're going to be unfocused here. It's just a matter of how tired are they going to be after those two pretty intense games that they played there. So that's kind of the question mark with Chicago here. The money is coming in on Chicago. Montreal up from -148 to -153, but they have 64% of tickets, 71% of the cash coming in Chicago. So the money is saying Chicago. I don't really disagree with it. I just think that it's still not like the easiest spot for them, so I'll stay away from that. Kraken and Red Wings. What do you mean they were up late last night? I mean, Detroit's just staying at home. I don't even know what Seattle's doing. Seattle is at home against Vegas tonight. Some of these games I'm skipping, though. I mean, I could talk about Columbus and Minnesota, I guess, just because that's one of Saab's plays, I think. Minnesota won 5-0. So, I mean, again, they look a little bit better than they actually were. Oh, yet again, Minnesota looks better than they actually are. Go figure, just like all of last year. Winning 5-0, I mean, makes them look a little bit too good, as I already dug into that game, and I told you St. Louis actually didn't play anywhere near as bad as that score makes it look. They actually kind of outplayed Minnesota, so the fact that Minnesota won 5-0 seems to indicate there were some bad defensive lapses for St. Louis, maybe goaltending lapses. This is Minnesota's home opener, though, so I don't necessarily want to fade Minnesota in their home opener, but they do look better than they actually are. Columbus just seems to be this team that is kind of just under the radar. Like, they're a decent team. They can kind of beat anybody on any given day. They just had a bad game at Nashville, Nashville's right now, they're just not a very good team, man. I kept thinking Nashville was better than their record indicated last year, and they never turned it around. So maybe Nashville's just not that good, but Columbus lost that game. Now they're traveling up to Minnesota for this. So situationally, yeah, I kind of agree the spot is probably a little bit better for Columbus, but it's not going to be a game I'm going to give out a play on. Minnesota did drop from -175 to -155, a fairly substantial market move there. 96% of the tickets, 99% of the cash on Minnesota. I don't buy that cash percentage, so I think basically what you're seeing is Minnesota is public and the money is coming in against them. So I don't disagree with Saab on that one with the Columbus side. But it's not something I want to give out as a play. Dallas and Colorado is a big game. I believe, did Colorado lose to Dallas in the playoffs last year? Or am I wrong about that? I think they did. Yes, this is a revenge spot for Colorado, man. So something to keep in mind. One of the only revenge scenarios that matters is when you're playing the team that knocked you out of the playoffs last year for the first time. That's the situation Colorado is in, and Colorado is a better team than that. I mean, they're still a pretty good team, man. They just seem to always underperform in the playoffs. We know Dallas is a really good team, too, although Dallas have to travel down from Winnipeg after a 5-4 win at Winnipeg, which is not easy to do. Now they have to travel into elevation and play Colorado. Colorado's going to be waiting for their revenge spot here. Colorado's in a better spot after they had a big win to open the season against LA on the road. They came back home and had kind of a more lackluster game against Utah. Is this going to make a play for me? Am I going to give out an extra play here? I don't know. Colorado did get a little bit, I don't want to say they got outplayed, but Utah did have more shots than Colorado did in that game, and they weren't losing the game by very much. It was a tied game in the third period. So I don't know. Colorado dominated the faceoffs in that game against the Mammoth, the Avalanche against the Mammoth. Oh, my God. But Colorado only got out of there with a 2-1 win. Let me look at the goalies real quick in this one. Let me see. Colorado's got, it's both starters, Wedgwood and Ottinger in the game. So I think those are the top goalies for each team there, which is expected. I mean, it is going to be a big game. The money is really pouring in on Colorado here. They're up from -118 to -144. 69% of tickets, 96% of the cash coming in on them. You know, I'm tempted. Let me see what the best number is that we can get on this. I do like Colorado in this game. Let me look. Let me see here. Avalanche. I'm looking real quick here to see what the best number is that we can get on this. You know what? -138 on this? Yeah, fuck it. Let's have 4 hockey plays. Let's just be unbelievably stupid. So you get an extra play on the fly here. You can find this at -138 out there right now. We'll go with the Avalanche as well. Even though Saab does not want that to happen, I think that it will. I like Colorado on that one. Revenge spot, I think the spot sets up better for them too, being back at home already off of kind of a lackluster game against a not very strong Utah team. I think the spot is worse for Dallas in that one, even though I think Dallas probably does have a little bit of extra time off. But maybe they don't, because I think they did play 2 days ago, right, in that game against Winnipeg. So I don't know. When did Colorado last play? Probably the same day. Yeah, I think both teams played on Thursday. So Colorado has a big travel edge, though. So that's what we'll go with there. Vancouver and Edmonton. I mean, this is one of those transitive property scenarios where Vancouver beat Calgary easily and Edmonton lost to Calgary. So I think, does that mean the public's going to come in and think Vancouver is value here because they're a big underdog here. But I don't think the public is really going to be dissuaded here thinking that all of a sudden Edmonton's not the better team all of a sudden. They would be correct if they assume Edmonton is still the better team. They are, even though I think Vancouver's not that bad. But Edmonton lost their home opener to Calgary, as we know. Vancouver then beat Calgary somewhat easily, so it makes it look maybe a little bit tempting to take Vancouver. We do have 88% of tickets on Edmonton, 98% of the cash zone. Edmonton is up from minus 160 to minus 167. I would lean to Edmonton in this game. I mean, maybe find like a way to split the bet puck line and money line, or maybe go Edmonton to go over their team total maybe or something like that. I think it's a spot that sets up better for Edmonton for sure, I think. Vancouver, this is going to be their first road game after a pretty easy win, though, against Calgary. It's a big game for both teams, though. I mean, Vancouver's going to show up and try to beat Edmonton, but Edmonton's staying at home, probably in a bit of a foul mood. So I think Edmonton is the way to look there. And then I'm going to give it a play Anaheim, San Jose, and I just don't really have much of an opinion on Vegas and Seattle at all. So skipping a few of the games. Let's go to the best bets here, and then we will get out of here. It won't be too long of a video here. All right. So we already know that I gave out the Avalanche, but we're going to go with the Detroit Red Wings as a home underdog here, a plus 125. I think this sets up pretty nicely for Detroit in this one. We're looking at Detroit facing Toronto here. And yes, Toronto is the better team, but they're getting a lot of respect from the market. They're a road favorite here, up from minus 130 to minus 141. 85% of the tickets, only 83% of the cash on Toronto. So they're public, and the money seems to be a bit going against them here. I still don't really trust Toronto's goalie in Stellars. It looks like we're definitely getting Talbot for the Red Wings, which I don't know if it really matters that much which goalie is in net for Detroit, to be honest. I just think the spot is better for Detroit. Looking at the scheduling dynamics here, Toronto, they're coming off beating Montreal, which is that's a big game, man. I mean, they're original 6 teams. It's a huge rivalry between those two Canadian teams. They don't like each other. Toronto was able to get that win, and as I talked about, it was kind of misleading. Montreal did outshoot them. The hits were kind of close. I mean, Toronto did win the face-off battle, but this is a close game, dude. It was 2-2 into the third period, and then Toronto actually scored 2 empty net goals at the end of the game. So this is a very close game. It says 5-2 on the final score, but it was not anything like what the final score makes it look like it was, man. The 2 empty nets will like just completely skew like what you think of this game. Like, you got to dig into the box scores in hockey, man, because empty net goals can completely throw off what you think about a game. The game was a lot closer than that when you dive into the box score. The final score, it wasn't indicative of what actually happened. And now they have to go on the road to face Detroit. And Detroit lost their home opener, to that same Montreal team. They lost 5-1. So the public's only going to do one thing on this. They already know that Toronto's the better team. They saw that Toronto smacked Montreal, smacked them, at least on the scoreboard. And then they see that Montreal beat Detroit 5-1. So this looks really easy, right? Of course Toronto's going to beat Detroit. If they can beat Montreal 5-2 and Montreal beat Detroit 5-1, Detroit's going to lose this game. You know, they're going to give up 10 goals in this game, right? No, that's not the way that it works, man. Detroit had a bad game in their home opener for sure. They're kind of an upstart team. But if you look at what happened in this game, Detroit dominated the game statistically. How the fuck did they lose this game 5-1? They outshot Montreal 31-17. So, of course, that means Detroit's goaltending was not good in the game. They out-hit Montreal by 9. They out-face-off them pretty significantly, too. So Detroit won, like, all the major stats in this game. And they didn't give up any empty nets either. I don't know how they lost this game as badly as they did. And they were winning 1-0 early, too. So I think you're looking at a Montreal team that you're looking at a Toronto team that looks better than they are right now. And you're looking at a Detroit team that looks a little bit worse than they are right now. I know Detroit's not that good right now. But you're getting them as a home underdog here in a situation like this. I think it's got to be the way to go here. I like this one. It might be my favorite of all the hockey plays today. We'll go with the Red Wings as a home underdog in that spot, in the transitive property spot too. So I like that one for sure. You didn't stay up to watch the Tigers. You're a Detroit fan, Jeffrey. If that's, I don't know. Did I know that already? If that's true, I don't know, man. My mind is not right anymore. So, but yes, I do like Detroit in this particular game. And yeah, unfortunately for Detroit fans, they lost that game and they are eliminated from the Major League Baseball playoffs. Next up, we're going to go with the New York Rangers minus 140 here. I should have gone with them in their last game. This Ranger team, I mean, missing the playoffs last year was just kind of ridiculous. They are a lot better than that. They still have a lot of talent on this team. They got my man, Chris Kreider, I believe is still there from the Boston area, and was the friend of the son of one of my coworkers at my first company. So he knows Chris Kreider. The dude's son played hockey with Chris Kreider in like high school and whatever. And the Rangers still have Shesterkin, still a very talented goaltender. This is up against Pittsburgh. So this is a quick road revenge angle for the Rangers. This is the type of angle I like to look for, man. Because the Rangers, they had their home opener absolutely spoiled by Pittsburgh, beating them 3-0. But remember what I said about this game. Pittsburgh scored 2 empty net goals at the end of this game, so that made it look more ridiculous than it was. It was a 1-0 game at that point. The Rangers just couldn't get anything going offensively. But the Rangers did not play too poorly in this game. They were the way more physical team. They're still the better team. So now the fact that the Rangers had their home opener completely spoiled, they got shut out in that game. They got some momentum with a win after that against Buffalo, an easy win. And now they get to face Pittsburgh again right away and do what Pittsburgh just did to them. Pittsburgh came into their house and spoiled their home opener. Well, guess what? They get to go in and not spoil Pittsburgh's home opener because Pittsburgh already played at home, but they get to go in and return the favor to Pittsburgh here. In Pittsburgh, they're 2-0 right now, but I mean, the odds makers are telling you all you need to know. Even though the Rangers are 1-1, Pittsburgh's 2-0, the Rangers are the better team. They're already up from minus 118 to minus 138 here, so they're taking the money. I would go up to about minus 140 on this. That's usually kind of my cutoff with the money line in hockey. If you don't want that, you can maybe look towards splitting part of the bet puck line, part of it money line, make your own minus one puck line or whatever. 70% of tickets, 96% of the cash on the Rangers. So it looks like the money's coming in on the Rangers. They're still the better team. Pittsburgh, not a very good team right now. I really like how this sets up for the Rangers in revenge mode here. Pittsburgh kind of got away with that win against the Islanders, too. I think they shouldn't have won that game. I'm kind of pissed about that loss that we took on the Islanders. So, yeah, Rangers will be the play in that one. And then we're going to have one more here. Oh, you're a Phillies fan? Oh, that sucks as well for the Phillies. Invite who to any gangbangs? Who are we talking about here? I don't even know. Oh, Pittsburgh, by the way, the other thing about them is I don't trust either of their goalies, but Jarry was their goalie for the first 2 games, I believe, and they're going with their backup goalie here, too, Silovs against Shesterkin. And the Rangers have a big goaltending edge in this game, in my opinion, too. So, Chris Kreider, any gangbangs? I don't know, man. I don't know what those hockey guys do. Maybe not. They're good boys, man. What are you talking about? And then my final play here, because I already gave up Colorado as a play. We're going to also go with the Anaheim Ducks, minus 125. This is going to be a fade of the Sharks, even though neither of these teams are good. But the odds makers are telling you how bad the Sharks are. If a team like Anaheim, who's not even very good, is a road favorite here, up from minus 116 to minus 121. So the money is kind of coming in on Anaheim too. 80% of tickets, 99% of the cash on them. Again, I don't think the 99% is accurate, but it does look like the money is on Anaheim. I talked about this game last night that San Jose had against Vegas. I think you got to fade San Jose after that. This San Jose team, they're still maybe one of the worst teams in all of hockey, maybe the worst. They had a huge game against Vegas in their home opener. They took them into overtime. And the way they lost that game, I talked about it last night, was Nedeljkovic, I think was their goalie in the game, who I think was on Pittsburgh at one point. He went almost all the way up to the blue line to try to clear the puck, which is absolutely ridiculous. Didn't stay in net, went as far away from the net as a goalie can basically go. And there were like 3 Vegas attackers there, and they didn't let him clear the puck, and they got the puck, kept it in the offensive zone, so it wasn't offsides. And there's no way that Nedeljkovic could get back into the net at that point. And Vegas just had they basically got an empty net goal because of it in overtime, because Nedeljkovic is just so unaware of his surroundings. It was absolutely ridiculous the way that San Jose lost that game. I think it's an unbelievably brutal way to lose that game, man. So I think it's a bad spot for the Sharks coming off that game. They could have had that big win against Vegas. Anaheim's coming in off a really ugly first game against Seattle. They are facing a second straight road game here, but they lost 3-1 in their opener to Seattle on the road. Anaheim did play better than the final score looked, at least. They had more shots, although part of that is because they were losing. But the statistics were fairly close in the game. Otherwise, the physicality of it, the hits, the face-offs. So I know Anaheim's not a good team, but I think they're in a better refocus spot here. I mean, this is more of a fade of San Jose off of that performance, though, in their last game. So we will go with Anaheim in this one. Nedeljkovic is not in net for the Sharks in this one, though. They're going to have Askarov. Already confirmed. Nedeljkovic takes a seat after that one. But you're going to get Dostal for Anaheim. It looks like Dostal, who I believe he is their starting goalie. I might be wrong about that, but I don't trust any of the Sharks goaltenders, to be honest. Like, I don't know what I'm not expecting a complete lapse like Nedeljkovic had there. And I think he had another one, earlier in the game, too, that wound up, maybe allowing another goal where he was caught, like, out of the net, too, like in the third period or something. I don't know, man. So it's not going to be that bad, but it's still a bad spot for the Sharks. So we'll go with Anaheim. And then, once again, we are going with Colorado, the Avs as well. So, yeah, that's going to do it, man, for the show. Oh, thank you, sir. Hopefully we actually get wins. Hopefully the analysis translates to wins. Oh, the coworker's son. I don't know. He never mentioned anything about any gangbangs. That's going to do it, man. Thanks for hanging out again. As always, guys, thanks. My plays one more time. You can go check out my college football video to see all the analysis there. College football, we got Michigan State -7.5. Missouri +3. I don't think it ever actually hit the 3.5, but maybe it's possible to find one out there. Texas +1, although I think they're -1 now, but there's not much of a difference there. You're basically just taking Texas to win the game, or you can maybe find a money line. Either way, I mean, Texas will be the play there. And then Auburn +4, or if you have to take 3.5, I think it's still okay to do that. And hockey, we're going to go with Detroit +125, Rangers -140, Anaheim Ducks -125. Maybe we're going a little bit overboard here, but I like all the situations. And Colorado -138. I think Anaheim is probably the weakest of all of those, so it'll be the only winner of all of them, just because I said that. But that's going to do it, man. Thanks for hanging out again. Got to get the Instagram videos up, get my college picks in order here. That'll do it for now. I'll be back tonight with the NFL show. Maybe I can actually get some sleep at some point, too. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Subscribe to the channel here on YouTube, man. That definitely helps me out. Spotify and Apple, we have audio over there. It helps if people listen over there and if they give me a good review. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube and patreon.com/LearnToToad with some bonus Uke content there. Or if you just want to throw me some support, I appreciate it. I appreciate everything you guys do, man. All the listeners who keep showing up on a regular basis. I don't know why you want to listen to me, but we've been doing pretty well over the last couple of weeks. So hopefully that continues. Hopefully hockey gets going, as we're kind of stagnant to start the season with a 2-2 run so far. But as you can see, my volume tends to be like slightly high in some of these sports. So we will see higher in like these daily sports than it is in football. Football, I kind of pick the spots more, but that's going to do it. I'll have probably at least 2 NFL plays. I don't know. It's going to be probably 2 or 3. I don't know what it's going to be, but we'll see. You like money? Well, thank you. Hopefully that's working out. Hopefully my analysis is actually leading to making money, and I should maybe get back to that and start putting money on it again myself. That's going to do it. Thanks, guys. Have a good day as well. Peace for now. Have a good Saturday, guys. Enjoy the games.